So I was literally sitting in a theater, all the lights were on, the screen was off, I was playing around on my phone, and all of a sudden the screen turned on, and it gave me a little bit of a jump scare. That was the only jump scare, unfortunately, for this film. Hey everyone, my name is Ryan, and today on the channel I'm going to be discussing a 2024 horror film called Nightswim. This is directed by Bryce McGuire. This is his directorial debut, and this is adapted from a short film of the same name. It stars Wyatt Russell, Kerry Condon, Amélie Hoeferle, and Gavin Warren. Now this film, essentially what it is about is you have a retired baseball player where he has a mysterious illness and he can't play baseball anymore. Him and his wife and his two children move into this new house, and they have a really cool swimming pool. And this swimming pool, well, it has some evil spirits and some malevolent things that really happen when they're in the pool, specifically at night and even a little bit during the daytime. Being as this is a January horror film, expectations for this film were kind of low. You know, you have a little bit of expectations because last year we had Megan in January, and that was a pretty good movie. Sometimes you get these horror films and they're not too good, and so January is always kind of dicey as you do get a lot of these lower budget horror films that do hop into theaters. Now in the case of this film, I did see the teaser trailer. I never watched a full trailer for this film, so I went in here just kind of expecting just a little bit of the pool, little fun, and just having that medieval kind of spirit kind of just play around in the film, and that's kind of what I was really expecting with this film. And I have to say, positives with this film that I really did like. I do think everybody here, for the most part, acting-wise, is pretty good for the most part. I think everybody on board here is doing what they're supposed to do. There's not a lot of story with it, but I did appreciate a lot of the shots in here. There were shots in the pool that was really nice, little underwater shots that were really nice as well. And I think they did a really good job of utilizing lighting when it needed to be actually done. I even appreciated, and I don't know if this was done on purpose or not, but there are portions in this film where they actually show shots of the pool, and half of the pool is actually light and has the sun, and then the other half of the pool, it's really dark and it has that murky kind of water to it. I really did like that. I don't know if that was done on purpose or if that had some type of theme that they were trying to go with, but I really did appreciate that, regardless if it didn't have a theme or not. There are times where there are a little bit of suspenseful parts that I think play out decently, and you can feel like, you know, you're a little bit on board with certain things that are actually happening in the film. The pool setting, that is something that's a little bit different than what we're actually used to seeing, so it feels kind of fresh to the mind when actually going into this film. With the film just focusing on this family pretty much, you have the little boy who is trying to play a little bit of baseball and mingle with friends and such, and his dad actually goes out to the baseball field as well and tries to encourage him to play baseball. You have the daughter here who is in high school. She has a crush on this guy who wants her to join this swim team, apparently a Christian swim team. You have the mom who is a teacher, and then obviously you have the dad who is battling this illness, and he's retired from baseball and he would love to do it again, but obviously he is actually permitted from doing so. With all these characters, you don't really get any more than that. Negatives with this film is it is a PG-13 film, so there isn't a lot of blood. The kill count is very low in this film, and it's a very slow film that really unravels a little bit too slow for my taste. If I have to really compare this to films and horror films that I didn't really particularly like last year, I would compare it to a film like The Boogeyman or It Lives Inside. It has some moments where there's some really good shots and everything, but then when it comes to the story, I think the story is just really lacking here. It definitely shows that this was a short where they could really just swing for the fences. I felt there were parts in this film where they really missed out on something really cool, really what they could do with the pool. And there was this one scene where, if you do watch this film, where they have this crowd of people that they invite over for a pool party. And I was thinking to myself, during this scene, they could really take advantage of the fact of this evil presence in the pool and what this, evil presence is really wanting. If they really took advantage of that, I think they could really had a really cool scene, and they just never do. And that's kind of the problem with this film, is it feels very cliche. There are parts in this film where they have a little bit of jump scares here and there that I think like the teenagers may like, that kind of thing. But I just felt like there just wasn't enough of that. There wasn't enough of really story to really kind of captivate you into the story too much, because it's so thin with that story. When we finally get into kind of the lore and just the things that they're trying to portray into this film, I just think it's a little bit late in the film. I felt like there was a lot of times where they're really cutting corners. And I actually talked to my best friend after watching this film, and we kind of, chit-chatted about it, and he gave it a 2.5 out of 5. And to be honest with you, I would give it a 2 out of 5. And the reason why I say this is comparing to other films that I watched last year, like Talk to Me, where I wasn't like really high on that film, but I gave it a 3 out of 5. I really feel like it does fall into the gap of like a Boogeyman, where I gave that film also a 2 out of 5, because I was really kind of bored at points in this film. I felt like there were parts in this film where I was really captivated by some of the suspenseful moments. Now, of course, jump scares is what I expected, so this film, it definitely has those kinds of things, but I just felt like as the film went on, and we start to learn more about the lore and all that, it just kind of felt to me like it really wasn't that complete of a story. And the ending, to me, it was just kind of like, okay, that's where we're going to end this film. And I was really disappointed by that. I just felt like they could have done a lot more. I also thought the opening scene was just not that good. It wasn't that well written. I think overall this film, it really lacked in the writing department. And I've seen some people give this film about 3 out of 5. And I think that's just because a lot of people, when they went into this film, they had really low expectations anyway. But to me, watching a lot of horror films, I can just say that this film, it just feels very incomplete in the story. And I think when they're cutting so many corners like they do, it's just not that great of a film. So it's a little bit hard for me to actually say to recommend this into theaters. If you do want to watch this, I definitely recommend that you check it out on streaming. But let me know in the comments, what did you guys think of Night Swim? And if you haven't seen it, are you going to check it out when it comes to streaming, or are you just going to skip it altogether? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys on my next review.